And hello, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, and good morning too. Welcome to the open hangout and discussion. And there's just something about grace, right, folks? It's just something about it. Looks like looks like damn memo here. Oh, it's in Discord. Okay, yeah. So welcome everybody. Welcome. So, in light of what we read today, sanctification isn't something that you just leave in the dust. And grace and God's gift of salvation isn't just something you walk and flash around to get things your way. It is something that doesn't belong to you. No, not necessarily. I mean, it is something that doesn't belong to you, nor do you deserve to have. Because God is loving, gracious, kind, and merciful, you can avail for it. He is salvation. Okay, you don't own it. He is salvation. It isn't something that just becomes your own. All right? You can't you can't go walking up. Excuse me. I try to do like a stream here. Uh, I'm trying like to do a stream here, dude. Just I don't take too kindly to your notifications and texts. Anyway, a little bit of Brett Keane over there. So, everybody's just going around flashing. Oh, God is gracious. God is loving. What kind of God sends His people to hell? What kind of? Maybe you don't know the God of the Bible, where He's loving, but at the same time, He's also called a consuming fire. He has to judge sin. He has to go send people. He has to go abide in his law and his statutes. He's not going to change things for you. Otherwise, that just wouldn't make him God. And knowing that he's the judge of everything, he is the creator of all things, the king of kings, the one man that could just talk you out of existence. That should revolutionize our reverence. Do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to a king. You're talking to a creator that preeminates everything. and then like you're gone, or everything you have gone, just like that. It that just isn't something that grace isn't just something you go around with the leash. It's not just something you could also. Uh, it's not like a card that you use to flash and say, "You can't do anything to me. I'm made in the image of God. It doesn't matter what you say to me." Well then, what did we read on First Peter? First Peter 6 and 7. No, First Peter 2:11 and 16. Don't use your liberties for a cloak of maliciousness. You're saved, even if you just believe for a millisecond. That doesn't exist. Oh, did you accept him before? Okay, then you're still saved. Yeah. Do you know what we call that? We call that an apostate. A mere second of a belief is not even a belief to begin with. In fact, I can call that deconversion syndrome. You have to endure. Why do you think Jude, Timothy, and Peter warns us about apostates and heretics? You have to be careful. This is also, I mean, when you say you believe for a millisecond, that's like saying that Judas is also saved. But need I remind you that in the Bible, that's not the case. And that event of belief from Judas would have been enough to cover up their sins, like cover up all his sins and undeniably and infallibly bring him to heaven. But no, he commits suicide and ends up in hell. Well, that's the thing, but he committed suicide. No, 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 no. It's not just the mere fact he committed suicide. And it was not just his trespasses. It was what it was in his heart that didn't bring him to heaven. He never truly loved Jesus. Even Judas's demise would lead us to believe that there's no such thing as an infallible second of belief. The free graces would argue, oh, if you believe like in 1 second, I agree, Dave. We don't fully understand God's grace. So going back to my point, oh, if you believe for a millisecond, you're saved undeniably. Okay, why don't you tell that to Judas? It's a good word study. Yeah, why did I think of that too? I should make an outline of this one too. It's gonna be for another time, another video, which I could. Yeah, you know what? Thanks for the idea, Dave. I'm gonna make an outline for that one. You're live hanging up with Shannon and Andrew. Just up by and saw you on. Okay. Well, thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave. But you're always welcome to come into the StreamYard or just pop into the side chat. Anyway, so going back, I will. So the free gracers want to argue that a minute of one's belief infallibly and undeniably sends you to heaven. Well, why is it in Scripture that Judas committed? Why Judas is in hell? Because he committed suicide. Oh, all right. This is a multi-area failure. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. You want to argue that a millisecond of a belief will undeniably and infallibly send you to heaven. Judas had a little bit of faith. He did. Yet when he committed suicide, he didn't end up in heaven. And you're going to argue, oh, well, Judas committed suicide. It'll send you to hell. Really? Yeah. But Judas, in some point, believed in the Lord. He had faith in the Lord. That would have been like, even if that's the reason why he went to hell, that would have been enough to cover his sins, and he end up in heaven instead, right? You said committing suicide was a sin, and then you argued that a millisecond of a belief will send somebody to heaven undeniably and infallibly. But then you come across where Judas hung himself and he ended up in hell anyway. The fifth item would be it was more of a heart matter. All right. It wasn't necessarily just the fact that he betrayed God and hung himself. That's not really the main reasons why he went to hell. But it was what was in his heart that caused him to betray or apostatize and hang himself. It was something in his heart that has led him to his predicament. You might want to rethink OSAS, ladies and gentlemen, or even FSAS, because it isn't just something that you could just drag along wherever you go. This is this is a gift given to you, and it's not necessarily your own because it's not yours, it's not mine, it's not ours. Jesus Christ is salvation. It isn't something you. It isn't something you. It isn't something that necessarily just becomes your own. Like, why don't you remember who gave it to you? Now, according to Andrew, it would be expensive grace because of the thing that the Lord has to go through. And for such a pathetic and vile specimen, he died for us anyway because, he loves us. To me, grace is sentimental. It is something you enjoy with the Father. It is something you enjoy with Jesus Christ. It's sentimental because of because that I know what he has done for me and what he's willing to go through and the lengths that he's willing to go through that I be a pleasing and worthy sacrifice. The fact that he allowed me to have like three different study Bibles and one KJV. The fact that I came across Bible Hub and suddenly, oi, library. The fact that I'm still alive because I'm under his mercy and grace. even when I don't know it or not. I mean, you know what? And and anyway, at any time, I probably wouldn't wake up today. I probably wouldn't be awake today doing this and just blabbering on about it. But you know what? Whether I recognize it or not, this is the doxology of God's mercy and grace for me. I don't necessarily see how He's intervening in my life, but I know that without Him, I wouldn't be awake today. I could have been killed yesterday. There are plenty of ways in this earth that can kill us. Whatever befalls a beast befalls man as well. Go look it up in Ecclesiastes. Or the mere fact that I can still continue on my martial arts training and exercise. I mean, I would have sustained injury. Thank God he didn't. Thank God he protected me. Thank God that with my knowledge of proper body mechanics and proper execution, nothing bad has happened to me. Of course, the non-believer won't see it the way I do. So, belief is not ontological. I mean, you'd even wonder why I'm not a pre-supper, because there are many instances in the Bible, even concerning if one is actually saved, there has to be inferences. There has to be fruit being demonstrated. There has to be um, there has to be demonstration on whether or not you're indeed with the Lord. You know, I mean, the word faith in the Bible is from pistis, which denotes trust, fidelity, confidence, trustworthiness, and genuineness. Heck, that's where we even get the word epistemology, fidelity and trust and confidence on the things that we believe. So it's not blind faith. We have reasons why we believe these things. We have reasons for our faith. And by God's doxology, He makes that possible. By His special revelations, He makes that known. The fact that He allows us to apprehend Him when He is incomprehensible. We have reasons for that. What He chooses to demonstrate, His doxology in the Old Testament, parting of the waves, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, wiping out the Amalekites, the creation account. See? I mean, I appreciate His doxology the most when it comes to the creation account. For instance, that of Genesis 1, verse 16 and verse 4. He demonstrates Him being pure light or the source of light because He provided the first day. No, because He made the first day and provided the luminaries, such as the stars, the moon, and the sun. He also demonstrates His love, that in this mass expanse, this giant, ever expanding universe, He focuses on one tiny little dot. with super hyper pristine focus for billions. I mean, if you're an old earther, so for billions and billions of years, he was acting. He lovingly was acting in behalf of his prized creation, which is us. I mean, you wonder why everything was set before us. We were made later until the sixth day. For 5 days, he was setting everything up. And by day six, there we came. That's how much he loved us. Actively creating, actively interacting. This is special revelation to me. This is how loving God is. He sets everything up. He puts essence in everything. Things set in order. And then when that was done, that's the time he made us. So that by the time we get there, everything's done. Everything's ready. Everything can be used. The environment is breathable. There is there is a equal distribution of molecules and pressure to the point where human activity is human activity is doable. Not too pressurized. Molecules that you need for breathing go smoothly in and out of your respiratory system because the osmotic because the osmotic not osmotic, that's for water, because the air pressure is well distributed, you're able to breathe pressurized. Go too deep or go too high, then yes, it gets difficult to breathe and it will crush your insides. That is how much he loves us. That is what he does. And you, me, and we are going to disrespect him? How, for all that he's done, for all that he's done, how could we? How could we just waltz on in and grieve him? And no, it's not just making him sad, because what it means to grieve the Holy Spirit, you make an enemy out of him. And as a Christian, you know that that is stupid. Are you literally going to make the mighty creator in the universe your enemy? Are you dumb? You know, in some ways, you also do make him sad. He's done this all for us. I mean, well, the Jews had it rough too. And Jesus expressed that too. Of all that he has done for his chosen people, what happened? They they forgot about him. They got self-sufficient, and I mean in an logically arrogant way. They ran to their worldly comforts and their idols to pursue their urges. How could we? And going back to his grace, how could we abuse his grace after what he has been through? And I notice it's always preaching Christ's sacrifice. What about Christ alive? Or what about Christ pre-crucifixion? It's always him it's always him sacrificed. What about him? What about preaching Christ, preaching Christ lives, or in his early ministries before he was sent to bear the cross? That's what I always notice. It's always him being sacrificed. So no, it's not free. Probably expensive. It's not revocable. It's not transactional. You want to know why? Because it's not yours. Anyway, link is in the side chat if anybody wants to join. Come and join. I'll be sticking around for a bit. And I want to hear your guys' take on this one. But while I wait, I might as well read some Bible verses. So it's 30 right here. So what I'm gonna do is open Bible Hub. Uh, no, not Bible Hub. It's going to mess up the. I'm going to open a Bible app. Mm-hmm. Oh, sass is oh trash. I agree. I agree. Takeaway. I mean, I used to give credit to OSAS, but after going through the epistles, I'm like, I now think this is dangerous now. Right. Just gonna zoom in situation. There's just something about Proverbs, right? Like it has 31 chapters, and many of which you can divide, uh, and that of which is you can divide reading these things in a day. So if it's Proverbs 1, so if it's like day 1 in your calendar, then yeah, Proverbs 1. Day 2 in your calendar, Proverbs 2. That's why I'm stuck on this. That's also one of the reasons why I'm stuck here. All right. All right. I hope this is enough to. Oh, freaking. Okay. All right. Let's just open this up. Since nobody's going to be coming in here, I guess I won't be here for long. But I'm just going to do a whole chapter reading of Proverbs 30. And I might just shut this down now and then just do some studying on my own here. I mean, I owe it to the Lord, communing with Him, just me and Himself. So anyway, the words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, even the prophecy the man spake unto Ithiel, even unto Ithiel and Ukal. Surely I am more brutish than any man, and have not the understanding of a man. I neither learned wisdom, nor have the knowledge of the holy. Who hath ascended up unto heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fists? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of waters in a garment? No, sorry, I read backwards. Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the winds in his fists? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? Every word of God is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. This is your verse for the day, folks. Moving on. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. There. Boom. There you go. You see these two verses? This is the constant mistake that the ancient Jews and Pharisees were making. They were stacking up in their own traditions, and it meant nothing. Because during their time, if it meant that they get praised by the eyes of men, if it meant that they can use that as a card to trump others so that they can get their way and get away with what they did wrong, that allows them to be duplicitous, that allows them to use their authority for a cloak of maliciousness, just because you can leverage the word God. Need I remind you, folks, that you have to be careful in putting God's name in your sentences, because it's not just necessarily saying "OMG" or "God damn it," but it's how you use it. Now, I can say "God damn it" like this goddamn Pharisee. They're preaching this heresy. God damn it. We have to stop it. Why? Because it's a damnable heresy. And you know what? They're preaching it. They're going to deceive the others. They're going to deceive our brothers and sisters, God damn it. That's something we don't want, especially under the context that that's damnable to the eyes of God too. God hates in the context of God really hates that. We ought to stop that. Like, but when you use God to justify your flesh, now that is much worse than saying the two variables that I've said. If you're going to use God's name to justify, it's not just OMG. Okay, we have a culture that says you can't say oh my God. Yeah, sure. All right, fine. I'll go with that. But if you're going to use God's name to justify your flesh, and that's far more worse than the vulgarity that I'm spewing. So I went off on a tangent. And the Pharisees were making their own traditions so that they can be quote unquote holy. But all that did was show that, I mean, all that did was show Jesus that they were snakes and hypocrites. And God wasn't just simply pointing fingers. He worked with what they demonstrated to him. All your traditions, all your rituals, or your quote unquote holiness movement. Yet when you do these things, you don't have me in your hearts. You don't have me in mind. So I'm going to ask you this. Are you doing this to glorify me or yourselves? These are one of the reasons why God says that apart from him our good works are nothing but filthy rags. Texted. Excuse me, guys. Can I do a little Brett Keen here? Excuse me. I'm doing a video right here. I take to collect notifications and tags. Anyway, I know you guys missed that a little bit of Brett Keen there. So anyway, so I'm not going to be here long, but every word of God is pure. And later on, when he pointed out hypocrisy, then what did he say next? Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. So you see, even the Pharisees fall under that category. They fall under this category. Why? They lie to themselves when they quote unquote do good or do rituals. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you can be in church, you can be an active member in the church, you could be singing in the choir, and still not have God in your mind. In fact, you can do all those three things and yet be irreverent. Why? Because when you do these things, is it for what? You're doing it to please the Lord, or are you doing it to please your flesh? Saying like, "Oh, but I sang already, so fine, okay. I mean, I've done my duties." No, it shouldn't be like that. Okay, look, God isn't just a king; He's an intimate one. He's not like your boss. He's not like some boss in an office that you meet your quota for the day and then that's it, you're done. No, it's not your employer, it's not your boss. He's the king, and he's an intimate one. It isn't I mean, reading the Bible and praying isn't just some laundry list that you just check and proceed to the next ones. Blessed is the man who meditates on his words day and night. You see that? Two things have I required of thee. Deny me them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain. This is a statement of even temperedness. This is a statement of self control. Do not make me poor, neither make me rich. Feed me with food convenient for me, just enough. Otherwise, I might be too full. I might, I might be riddled with so much of excess that I forget you. Or lest I be poor, then I steal and take your name in vain. Or when I'm in deep waters, that is the only time I come to you, or I end up cursing you for this predicament of poverty that I'm in. But don't make me rich as well, because I might get so lost in my luxuries that I forget you. And he says here, remove from me vanity and lies, vainness and deceit. Moving on. Accuse not a servant unto his master, lest he curse you, and thou be found guilty. There is a generation that curseth their father, and doth not bless their mother. Like an adumbration of what? Timothy? There is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness. Why does this sound like this is more correlated to the Jews of the New Testament? So now I have. So, yeah, once again, I have put myself in a position where I will not be looking into the New Testament books because once again, I am stuck in Proverbs. Because I look at this, look at these underlinings, man. So 37. Well, I can do them in between. I just got to make this something personal for me because I also want to be able to get through the other books. Yeah, yeah, takeaway. Now you know why I'm stuck in Proverbs. There is a generation, oh, how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from the earth, and the needy from among men. The horse leech hath two daughters, crying, Give, give. There are three things that are never satisfied. Ye four things say not, It is enough. Oops. The grave and the barren womb, the earth is not filled with water, and the fire that saith not, It is enough. Yeah, so I like how this is. I like how this is. The fire that saith not isn't enough. No, there is like a metaphorical. This is metaphorical poetry right here, ladies and gentlemen. Because when you burn something, the fire just doesn't stop burning at one point of the thing that is uh and the thing that is just set ablaze. It will consume everything. So these are like a fire that consumes everything is relatable to that of a man who is given to worldly lusts and worldly comforts, that it's never enough. He will have it today, and tomorrow he will come look for it again. This is like the fire of discontentment. The eye that mocketh at his father, and despiseth to obey his mother. The ravens of the valley shall pick it out, and the young eagles shall eat it. There be three things which are too wonderful for me, ye for which I know not: the way of an eagle in the air, the way of a serpent upon a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth, and said, I have done no wickedness. She eats and wipes her mouth. That's like saying, I never ate anything just because you wiped your mouth. Deceitful, sympathy whoring, lying woman. For three things the earth is disquieted, and for which it cannot bear. For a servant when he reigneth, and a fool when he is filled with meat. For an odious woman when she is married, and a handmaid that is heir to her mistress. There be four things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. The ants are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. The conies are but a feeble folk amongst the rocks, those no can by bat leaders, yet in their in swarms they're you know what that means? We're being compared to those who are more forward. I mean, in they and not and they don't deviate the way we do. They're very coordinated, so they don't deviate. They don't make second thoughts. And unlike us, we tend to what? We tend to be what? Movable, changeable. Look at the locusts. They're more consistent than we are. Look at this. They have no king or they have no one to lead, yet they all go forth by bands. They're not just a coordinated bunch. They're one people. They're unified. They're not. They're not. Well, I mean, everyone here is yet to tell me the habitats of a locust, but in this case, they work as a team. They work together to survive. They're not running up against each other. They're very coordinated. They don't deviate. They don't even have a leader yet. Like, you get what I mean. There's a word. I forget that word. Yeah, the locusts are not unruly. Yeah, they're not an unruly bunch. There you go. They're not an unruly bunch. They have no king, yet they go forth all of them by bands because they're not an unruly bunch. The spider taketh hold with her hands and is in kings' palaces. There be three things which go well, ye for are calmly in going. A lion which is strongest among beasts and turneth not away for any. Sounds like a brother born for adversity. A greyhound, a he goat also, and a king against whom there is no rising up. If thou hast done foolishly in lifting up yourself, or if thou hast thought evil, lay thine hand upon your mouth. Surely the churning of your milk. You know what this means. If thou hast done foolishly in lifting yourself up, or if you have thought evil, lay thine hand upon your. You know what he's basically saying? He's saying, put a sock in it, or go choke on a. You know what? Go choke on a. Go choke on a dick. You know, it's better for you to shut up. And if you have done this already, best mitigate that one by really keeping your mouth closed. Really put a sock in it. Surely the churning of milk bringeth forth butter, and the wringing of the nose bringeth forth blood. So the forcing of wrath bringeth forth strife. Ah, do you remember Proverbs 17:14? How strife is characterized by a dam with a crack, and then if you meddle with it, the flow gets bigger. Oh, this is another way to picture strife. Churning of the milk, bringing butter, wringing of the nose, bringeth forth blood. That's strife. The more you stir it up, the more painful it gets, the more heavier it gets, the more burdensome it gets. So, best eliminate that now or drown in it. See? Now you know why I'm stuck here. Because in this poetic pieces of literature, I learn a lot. Like, it's like I just go across perspectives and cross references, and I appreciate them more when I go to other books. That's why I'm stuck in Proverbs. How much more Ecclesiastes? I'm taken all over Scripture in Proverbs. I mean, not like unequivocally, but it gives me an idea that when I come across a verse, I know my thoughts would be brought back to what Proverbs. Be like, oh yeah, there was a verse that said that. That's why to me Proverbs is my life book. I'm taken I'm taken everywhere by small ideas by in the extent of a small idea, by context of the verses there. And when I get to a specific verse talking about a specific thing, I always have like an inference to Proverbs. I always infer that. So yeah. So anyway, I don't think anyone is gonna be coming in. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, link is in the side chat if you want to chime in. But I'm guessing it's really late there in your parts, so I guess I'm just shut this down. It's ready the 50th minute, and I don't think people want to come in. But I hope you guys enjoyed my little rambling and my and a little bit of reading Proverbs 30. I know Proverbs 30. I'm going to be shutting this down now. Once again, don't take your salvation for granted. Take your sanctification seriously, and look forward to the glorious hope with along with its rewards too. Uh, do your best to be a living sacrifice for the Lord, pleasing and acceptable in His sight, for that is our reasonable service towards Him. And I will see you guys in the. We're going to be continuing killing free grace again, but Dave gave me a really nice idea. I mean, I want to go back to first to the epistles of Peter for the exegeticals, but I think it's better that we start with this first. Thank you, Dave. A word study on the word grace. Yeah. So, once again, thanks for chiming in, folks, and I will see you in the next episode. I am signing off in 3, 2, 1.